Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to do some more speaking test feedback. We're going to look at Lam's speaking test. Let's check it out. Good afternoon, my name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
Well, my full name is Lam, but you can call me Lam for short.
Okay, thank you, Lam. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Well, I'm afraid I'm not at the age of working yet. I'm actually
Cool, I'm not at the age of working yet. Very nice.
a high school student pursuing chemistry in high school in Quy Nhon City.
Okay, I'm pursuing chemistry. Strange for a high school student to be pursuing one subject, but I don't know. Maybe that's the way it is in Vietnam, so I don't know.
A central city in Vietnam.
And do you only study chemistry or do you study other subjects too?
Oh, chemistry is my major. In my school I do learn all subjects from math.
Okay, a bit of a breakdown. I do learn all sort of subjects. So a breakdown in intonation, just a little bit.
To English and even literature. Yeah.
And apart from chemistry, what's your favorite subject?
Well, besides chemistry, my
Nice paraphrase. So I used apart from, candidate used besides. Nice paraphrase.
favorite subject would be English. You know, I love to explore about English cultures and I love to communicate
Usually you explore something, you don't explore about something, but just a minor error.
with foreign people by English. So it's always interesting for me to attend English classes.
Bit of a breakdown again, just in fluency. Just notice how it's a little bit staccato, a little bit mechanical. Just listen.
So it's always interesting for me to
It's always interesting for me to. Sentence stress is not quite there. It's always interesting for me to meet different people. It's always interesting for me to. Just to. A little bit of. You can hear the hesitation. He's extending the words, making them sound longer because it gives him some time to speak. So not a bad strategy, better than pausing for sure, but it is a little bit of a breakdown in connected speech and in fluency and in intonation.
attend English classes.
And what would you like to do when you finish high school?
Well, my plans after finish high school would be like
Again, would be this. I've noticed this a lot now with Vietnamese candidates that they use would be instead of just my plans are to do something. My plans would be. Now, this is sometimes used in English, especially for like distancing language or hedging language. Like I would say that, or it would. What's your favorite band? I think it would probably be Led Zeppelin, right? For hedging language, but too much overuse of would be will be a problem. And I just think already we've had a few uses of would be. I want to see just normal verb to be.
apply for a prestigious university in Ho Chi Minh City.
Okay, again, prestigious university. I think probably 75% of my Vietnamese candidates now have used the word prestigious. I guess they just learn it.
And then find ways for better future and better jobs prospects at the university.
Okay, candidate is focusing on vocabulary, and that focus on vocabulary, the heavy focus on vocabulary, is affecting his fluency a little bit. Thank you. Now I'd like to move on and talk about where you live. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
Well, my current living place is a house. Well, we live in a medium house with
I don't know what it means, a medium house. A medium-sized house, maybe, but not a medium house.
air conditioner and every conveniences that can.
So every convenience is. Now, after every, we use a singular noun. Every convenience, every person, every thing. We don't use plural nouns after every. Every convenience is.
Provide a really good life, and I enjoy living here. I mean, I got everything I need.
Lovely use of I've got everything I need. Just to, little filler, but also a way of introducing the summary. Like, I'm going to tell you again in short, right? I've got everything I need. Very nice.
in a house, so I have no complaints about it.
Great. I have no complaints about it. Great, 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 great. Like it very much. And what's your favorite room in your house?
Well, the favorite one would be my living room.
Like the use of one to replace room. Again, that shows good reference.
In that place, my study space is also there. There's
My study space is also there. My study space also there, I think he used.
my study space is also there.
Yeah, so we like to have that verb to be when we talk about locations where something is, the book is on the table, the refrigerator is next to the cooker, but we like to use that verb to be.
There's also a big air conditioner that
Cool. There is also nice. We get it. There are.
can make the perfect temperature for me to do.
So just a mistake with the perfect, and I noticed this with Vietnamese accent. Maybe that perfect.
Make the perfect temperature for me.
The perfect. So that put is coming out as a but it really needs to be a put. There is a difference between a put and a but. Put and a but. But. You can feel the vibrations there. But. Puh. Puh. You don't feel the vibrations. But okay, not important.
To do homework, to learn, and to think wisely.
Okay, a bit of repetition to do homework, to learn, and to do something. But rule of three is fine. So if you're going to give lists, make sure that the list isn't longer than like 3 things, and that's fine. He used a bit of repetition. Sorry, my microphone volume seems to be high. I'm just turning it down. So he used a bit of repetition, but he didn't repeat more than 3. So I like that as a rule. Up maximum of 3 if you're listing things, absolutely fine.
Over in the living room, there's a collection of my model cars, which is my passion.
Model cars, my model cars, my model cars, not my model cars, my model cars, my model cars. Now, maybe this is a British thing. I certainly think that there are some accents, maybe in Australian English, where you could rise towards the end. Like, I've got some model cars. Maybe some rising intonation at the end is okay. Maybe.
So after learning hours, I love to sit there.
Learning hours, learning hours, learning hours. So the sentence stress is it is slightly off. It's not perfectly natural sentence stress.
And observe my collection just to relax.
I don't know, but observe, it just seems a little bit, it's a speaking test. I would never use that with my friends. Oh, I sit there and observe my collection. I look at my collection, or I have a look at my collection, or I don't know. Observe just seems a little bit, I don't know, for a speaking test in a conversational way. Observe my collection, slightly situationally inappropriate. Let's talk about walking now. Do you like walking?
Well, absolutely.
A lot of his answers begin with well. Now that's okay. It's quite a common way to start, but again, I would be careful with overusing it. You don't want to start every answer with well.
I love walking for several reasons. First, I can.
Good signposting for several reasons. First, it's very logical.
Reduce my own carbon footprint through.
Okay, is that where we're going to go? Like, do you like walking? Yes. Why? Because it can help to reduce my carbon footprint. Now, is the candidate saying that because really I feel that he likes walking because he likes to reduce his carbon footprint, or has he just learnt the word reduce my carbon footprint and he's trying to squeeze it into the exam? I don't know. It is a very natural collocation, and I have to give him the benefit of the doubt here that, maybe he genuinely does like the fact that walking reduces his carbon footprint. It is appropriate. I have suspicions that maybe it's pre-rehearsed vocab, but I can't say for sure here. And thinking objectively, it's absolutely fine to say, yeah, I like walking because it helps me to reduce my carbon footprint.
Activity and contribute to
Contributes.
the progress of saving environment. However, walking
It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Maybe it's okay. Walking, does it help to save the environment? Maybe, yeah. If everybody did it, sure.
helped me to improve my own physical health.
Just physical. Can't quite get the physical. Is it? We get like physical kind of. Let's listen just again.
The progress of saving environment. However, walking helped me to improve my own physical
And also, walking helps me. So missing that third person as a couple of times.
saving environment. However, walking helped me to improve my own physical health.
My own physical. So we're not quite getting that full enunciation. My own physical health, not physical. My own physical health. Not quite getting full, but pronunciation is very clear and very easy to understand. And certainly there are accents in London that also, like physical, it helps me to improve my own physical health. That's my bad London accent, and so maybe it's acceptable.
I mean, walking can help with
Get that again. I like it, but we should be careful not to overuse it.
the blood move better. And
Okay, blood move better. So this is a good point that we see in vocabulary, in lexical resource when we talk about precision of vocab. So here, what Lam is explaining is blood circulation. That's how the blood moves around our body. Now, will he be punished because he didn't get blood circulation? No, he found a paraphrase, how the blood moves around our body, and that's okay. But it would have been great evidence for me of like precise topic specific vocab if he had found blood circulation, but I understand not everyone is going to find blood circulation. It's okay.
and also it helps me relax through
Get a lot of it helps me. Maybe, find some paraphrases so that we don't repeat the same construction over and over again. I know it's tough.
walks.
And do you prefer walking alone or with other people?
Well, walking alone
Again, we get that well. Just be careful, not too much well.
is is inferior to walking.
It's inferior to, so I like that. I don't know if it's again conversational enough, if it's situationally appropriate. It's inferior to. It sounds a little bit, formal, not formal, neutral formal, just on the other side of neutral. Whereas we want in an IELTS test, we want to be like neutral informal, like it's not as good as, or it's nowhere near as good as, or it's not quite as good as, or it's no match for. Maybe that's better than it is inferior to, which again is a nice adjective. Inferior is a less common item of vocabulary, and he finds the right collocation to be inferior to something, so that's good. But situationally appropriate, I don't know. I'd prefer like is not as good as.
With another person. I mean, I love working with a friend or working with a group of people to share stories with each other, and also when working to do exercise, I think work with a friend will
Walking with a friend. So if we use the verb as a subject, we use the ing form. Walking with a friend is da 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 da.
Make us have more.
Makes us. So I think he says walk with a friend make us more. And we need walking with a friend makes us more. Now this gerund is this ing verb gerund as a subject. We usually teach that at pre-intermediate, but still it's considered, pretty good grammar in IELTS. But this third person S, now this isn't the first time. I think this is already the third or fourth or maybe even fifth time I found this mistake with the third person S. And I know on this channel I speak about this third person S a lot, but it's present simple, guys. Come on, get your present simple right just as a basis. We don't want to give the examiner a reason to give us a low score in grammar. And it's very possible that some examiners will just think, you know what, 5 mistakes with present simple, I can't award this candidate a 6 or a 7 in grammar because he had or she had 5 or 6 or many or 10 mistakes with present simple. So don't give examiners that chance. Control your present simple. The Lam is a very good English speaker. He knows present simple, I'm sure, but be aware, be mindful, control it in the test.
encouragement, and so we can work better.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part of the... All right, so that's the end of part one. I have spoken a lot, so let's just have a quick summary. Candidate extends his answers well. I like the length of his answers, the development. The coherence is great. They're all of the answers are perfectly connected. Is he very fluent? No, there are some hesitations and some longer extensions of words in order to buy some time to say everything that he wants to say. Moving on to pronunciation, pronunciation is very clear. There are the accent sometimes, it is a noticeable accent, and occasionally some words aren't 100% correctly pronounced, shall we say. But it doesn't get in the way of the overall understanding. The intonation and sentence stress is probably just a little bit off. So for me, I don't feel like it's quite C1 pronunciation just because we don't quite get that appropriate intonation and sentence stress. But certainly looking at a minimum 6 for pronunciation, maybe he can get to the 7. We'll see how it goes. In terms of grammar, the obvious things to notice in the grammar are the simple mistakes, a couple of mistakes with singular plural, quite a few mistakes with present simple third person s, missing a couple of gerunds. But his vocab is very, very strong. I think he finds a lot of good collocations. Sometimes the language just feels a little bit too formal. I wouldn't say his language is very formal, but maybe it's just, if we think of like formal, neutral, informal, the candidate is about just slightly above the neutral, and for me I want it to be slightly below the neutral, but okay, the formality isn't a huge problem, and certainly he's showing a lot of good vocab. Doesn't find everything, like he missed blood circulation, but not a big problem. But vocab for me is his most impressive thing so far. Let's have a look at part 2. Let's skip forward to the task. So the task is for the candidate to describe his first school. Okay, so this isn't a narrative exactly. Even though it's past time, you can use past time constructions, but it's not a story. So you're not going to find narrative tenses, adverbs, adjectives, and things like this. But descriptions of the school, how you went there, like by bus, something like this. I walked to the school, where the school was, so some language, prepositions of place or something like this. It was 10 kilometers from my home, or it was in the city center, it was on, I don't know, in the outskirts or something like this, in a residential area, maybe. Some city or geography related language, possibly what you remember about the teachers. So again, could get some physical appearance language here. We could get some character type of vocabulary, and say whether your experiences there were important. So, okay, talking about the importance of education and what he learnt. So lots of scope for good language. Let's see if he's able to exploit it. Have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Well, I'm going to share with you about my first
I'm going to share with you about. I'm going to share with you something, but not I'm going to share with you about something.
school in life, and it was actually my first primary school also. It
Just the coherence is a bit strange there, no?
was actually my first primary school. I'm going to share with you about my first school in life,
I'm going to share with you about my first school in life.
and it was actually my first primary school also.
And it was also my first primary school also. So I don't know what that means there. You could delete that, and actually it was my first primary school also. Your first school in life is, in most cases, primary school. So
The school is quite more. It is located in.
the school is quite more? Is that?
The school is quite more. It is.
So I'm not sure what that means. The school is quite more. I don't know if that's a vocab mistake or a grammar mistake or a pronunciation mistake.
It's located in Queen City. Well, the school was quite nice. The complex was
Okay, it's quite nice, but this isn't anything impressive, is it? The school was quite nice. Okay, quite is a nice little detensifier, like nice adverb. It was quite nice. Cool.
also intriguing, and
It's also intriguing. So, firstly, the pronunciation is intriguing, but for me, this is evidence that the candidate is just trying to activate vocab and not developing, not explaining, not saying why it was intriguing. And I don't really know if it's appropriate to call a school intriguing. A subject can be intriguing, things that you learn can be intriguing, books can be intriguing, people can be intriguing. They spark curiosity, they make you want to look to understand more about the subject. A school being intriguing, for me, that just doesn't quite sound right. And it just sounds like candidate is trying to use the word intriguing.
it was quite suitable for students at the
It was quite suitable for students, but again, you have to develop that and explain what you mean. When you say it's quite nice, okay, fair enough, but when you say it's intriguing or suitable for students, give evidence of that.
young age to learn. Well, at the time, I was too
Why was it suitable? Is it about the facilities? Is it about the colours of the walls? Is it about the teachers? Why was it suitable? You don't explain that.
young, so my parents take me to school from
My parents take me in the present. This is your primary school, it's in the past. My parents took me, my parents would take me, my parents used to take me. A lot of flexible grammar could be used here, but not my parents take me. That's present time.
grade 1 to grade 3. But after that, because the school was relatively close to my home, so my parents let me walk to school.
Okay, nice. My parents let me walk to school, and let, of course, is let. Let in the present, let in the past, let as the past participle or third form, but also let me walk to school. Let somebody do something, not let somebody to do something, let somebody do something. And he gets this right. A lot of students make mistakes with that, and he gets that. Let somebody do something, which is a nice bit of B1 grammar, but nice.
Well, talking about the teachers there, I
Good signposting language, talking about the teachers there. Nice little participle clause to introduce the topic of teachers. I like it very much.
assume that they are quite supportive.
Okay, they're quite supportive, but again, can you back that up now with evidence, right? That's what I like to see. Not just vocab. Vocab is nice. They were supportive, but demonstrating your full knowledge of that by backing that up, adding to the fluency and coherence by explaining how. They were supportive. So, when we had problems with things where you could ask the teachers, and the teachers, they always spoke to us in a very friendly way, and they were patient, and they took their time with us, and they tried to explain things to us in very easy ways. That would be an example of them being supportive. Will we get an example?
They are also very kind when they taught us about life lessons.
Okay, but I'm again my coherence when they taught us about life lessons, and now my curiosity says, well, what life lessons? What does that mean exactly? Life lessons. Life lessons for me is something like, you put your hand in the fire, it hurts, and you don't do it again. Or you lose your phone and you feel terrible, and your parents tell you off and you never do it again. For me, those are life lessons. And I hope your teachers don't teach you those life lessons. Life lessons usually involve, pain, being hurt, being embarrassed, doing something terrible, and then realizing, okay, I won't do that again. That's what we mean by life lessons.
Or about necessary knowledge to
Necessary knowledge, but again, what is necessary knowledge? It's very vague, it's not detailed, there's no examples backing it up. So as a target listener here, I can't say I'm fully informed. I'm thirsty for more information. Again, it's one of those, did you like the film? Yes. Why? Because it was good. Okay, but why was it good? Oh, because it was interesting. Yeah, but what was interesting? Oh, the characters were interesting. Okay, but tell me how. Please be more precise. Please give more details.
become a good person. I still vividly remember a time.
I still what remember candidly?
To vividly remember to vividly remember to vividly remember.
Fondly? I'm not sure if he's saying candidly or fondly remember. Fondly remember is a nice collocation. If you fondly remember something, it means you remember something in a positive way.
A time
But it's fondidly. It sounds like he said fondidly, so I'm not sure. I can't award any points for that.
I had a fight with a friend there.
Okay, but why are we going into that now? I fondly remember I had a fight with a friend there. Now, describe your first school, where the school was, how you went there, what you remember about the teachers, and say whether your experiences there were important. I don't know why we're talking about this fight.
Due to some conflicts, but
I like this due to some conflicts. I think conflict as an uncountable singular noun is probably better, but okay.
the teachers there didn't shout at me. Besides, they
Okay, that kind of goes back to teachers being supportive, maybe.
helped me to arrange a retreat with a friend.
To arrange a retreat with a friend, did he say? What is.
And retreat with a friend.
I'm not sure what that means. They helped me to arrange a retreat with my friend. I don't know what that means, I'm sorry.
And also helped me to say and taught me to say apologize to.
Taught me to say apologize. Not quite. Taught me to apologize, or made me apologize, or taught me to say sorry, but not to say apologize.
The kid that being fought.
The kid that being fought, was that? Grammar's just breaking down.
To the kid that being fought.
Forced me to say apologize to the kid that being fought. So that's grammar salad. That's just a lot of strange things there. An attempt at using like a passive gerund, the kid that being fought, missing the verb to be. Again, I don't know what it is about. I haven't spent any time in Vietnam, and I haven't spent a lot of time communicating with Vietnamese people apart from on these tests. But one thing I notice is that they miss that verb to be a lot, not just in present simple. They tend to use it in past simple, was, were, they use it a lot. Present simple, they tend to avoid it and sometimes use would be instead. And in this passive now, we're missing this verb to be, the kid that was being fought. But again, why make it passive? There's no reason to make it passive here. The kid I was fighting with, that's fine. The kid I was fighting with.
I mean, I love my school. I love the
Maybe present simple is okay here. I love my school. It's fair.
teachers. Oh, my peers there also. They are
My peers. I don't know if you're referring to the kids that you go to school with, your primary school. I don't really know if you would call them peers. Peers maybe in your career, in your academic life perhaps, but when you're school children at the age of like 5 or 6 or 7, I don't know if I would call the other school children my peers.
they are like close friends. They are quite friendly, and in
They are my close friends. They're quite friendly. Again, not sure if you're talking about now or in the past.
time they always help me to.
They always help me. Again, are you talking about now or in the past? Because the task is for you to talk about your first school and your experiences in the first school. So we're expecting a lot more past time constructions and not so much present time.
So the questions and stuff in the free
Okay.
time.
Yeah, as you can see, he's just run out of ideas. He's tried to continue speaking, which is good. Now, can I say that he spoke at length, fluently, with comfort? I don't think so. I think he managed to speak at length, but he had to rely on slowing down his speech and kind of losing a bit of coherence and jumping from one topic to another topic without a really clear logical transition. But he was able to speak at length and he was able to stick to the subject more or less. So fluency and coherence just dropped. I felt like he was at about a 7 in part 1, but for part 2 it felt more like a 6. For grammar, again, unfortunately, using a lot of present time where he should use past time. So that present time instead of past time, coupled with all of those mistakes with the verb to be, present time versus past time, coupled with that third person s, coupled with a few mistakes with the verb to be, and some problems with singular versus plural nouns. don't. It's not definitely not going to be a very high mark for grammar. Vocab again decent, but not extending and not building on the vocab. Just saying they're supportive, fine, but give examples of it. Just saying that people are friendly, fine, but give examples of it. Just saying the school was a suitable place to learn, fine, but give examples of it. Pronunciation is clear, but again, it is affected by the lack of fluency. Intonation here just feels a bit flat, which is what we often get when fluency breaks down. Sometimes then the intonation kind of becomes a little flat, and that's what I felt it was, just a little bit flat. But part three, I'm really curious about coherence and cohesion in part three now to see how he deals with those questions. Can he get back to a 7? I hope so. Grammar, I want to see better control of simple grammatical stuff. I will try also to listen to see if we get a range of structures. I haven't been so impressed by the range of structures so far. Vocab, I know will be relatively strong. I think will be okay. And pronunciation, I think will be much more of the same. But let's get to part three. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so you've been describing your first school. Now I'd like to move on and talk to you more generally about primary and secondary education. What kind of things do children learn in their first schools?
Well, during the
Again, we start with a well.
time in first school, I think
Not much of a paraphrase.
most children will be taught about.
Again, children. We want to get that children. Again, l, d, r is a consonant cluster. We have 3 consonants, children. And again, for many people in East Asia, pronouncing words with 3 consonants together is very difficult. Listen to it here.
Most children will
Children.
be taught about life.
Will be taught. So this is this is showing good range of structures. Will be taught about. We get a passive modal. Some people would say future simple passive, but it's not future simple. Will be taught. Cool. Passive modal. Passive infinitive after modal. Nice.
Skills like how to face strangers. And
for me, that's a bit of a strange answer, right? Children at primary school will be taught life skills like how to face strangers. Maybe that's true. I was thinking more like reading and writing, maybe counting or doing basic arithmetic like adding and dividing, maybe doing basic geography or coloring or learning colors or singing songs. Didn't think so much about the main focus of primary schools is to teach children not to speak to strangers. It might be a part of it, but I don't think it's the main part.
What to do if they are being scammed by them.
Okay, so very nice grammar again. We hit the passive. This time we get present continuous passive. If they are being scammed. But again, with coherence, is that the main focus of primary schools, to teach children what to do if they are being scammed? I don't know. Sorry, my microphone volume again seems to be very loud. I'm just turning it down a little bit. I hope it's not too loud. Anyway.
Moreover,
I don't like moreover in speaking tests especially. There are so many better alternatives on top of that, and also, and another thing, and to add to that, I think those are very natural conversational ways of expressing addition. Moreover feels a bit staccato. It feels, I don't even like it in writing, but it's okay in writing. But in speaking test, forget about moreover. Learn something more conversational. And another thing.
To be taught necessary skills like calculating skills through maths, and also being taught about literature.
I don't know if you're taught about literature, are you, in primary school? You certainly learn how to read. You learn literacy skills, but I don't know if you learn about literature. I don't think you learn about things like dramatic irony or free indirect speech or something like this, right? Foreshadowing, character development, conflict resolution, character arcs. I don't think you learn about that at primary school.
To know their language and to use it in daily life.
And how do children socialize with each other at primary school?
In primary schools, children socialize with each other.
So again, not really an effective paraphrase there, just a repetition of the question. But throughout the test, I felt like his paraphrasing has been good, so certainly I will not punish him for repeating the language of the question in some of the answers.
Other by just having
Question how and the preposition by, that's a good link.
talks and chat with each other in class or in free time, or
I think that's fair, right? They communicate, they socialize just by having chats or communicating with each other in free time.
I mean break time they can
Break time is good topic specific language.
play sports and engage in extracurricular activities.
In primary school, you don't really do extracurricular activities. You might do it maybe towards the end of primary school. You might have some extracurricular activities, like we had like choir singing and rugby practice, those things. But I don't, when I think of extracurricular activities, I think that's more of a high school thing, isn't it?
To strengthen their bonds.
And maybe actually later in primary school, you certainly do learn about literature later in primary school. Okay. I'm thinking in Britain, our primary school is kind of divided into two things, the infants and the juniors. So the infants is like between the ages of 4 to 6, and then the juniors between the ages of 7 and 11. And when I'm thinking of primary school, first schools, I'm thinking of ages 4 to 6, learning to read, learning to write, learning basic like arithmetics, counting, things like this. But okay, so far on topic, more or less. Some people believe that learning how to socialize in primary school is more important than learning the subjects that they learn, like mathematics, for example. Do you agree with this? So the question is, do you agree that learning to socialize in primary school is more important than mathematics and other subjects? That's the question, but listen to the answer.
Well, when talking about this, I think I would like to disagree because
I think I would like to disagree. So, the question is, socializing is more important than subjects like mathematics at primary school. Do you agree or do you disagree? Candidate says I disagree, which is fine, but then says
the learning to socialize in school is quite important.
Learning to socialize in school is quite important, but doesn't that suggest that he agrees, not disagrees?
Because without knowing how to socialize it properly, children might suffer
And now he's explaining why it's important to socialize.
from many issues regarding mental health.
If they don't learn to socialize, they'll suffer from many issues regarding mental health. Again, just not absolutely precise language, but decent language, and a little bit maybe of an overgeneralization. But most importantly, he said that he disagreed, but now he's explaining why he agrees. So there's just a bit of confusion there.
And also fightings with friends due to conflicts between them.
Now let's move on and talk about. So yeah, I won't mention anything more there. I just think he, if he had said something like "I agree with this" and then said that answer, that would be okay. Secondary school or high school, do you think teenagers have too much pressure at school nowadays?
Well, can you repeat the question
Again, we get the well, so many wells.
once again?
Do you think, I like this once again. Once again is very nice. Teenagers have too much pressure or too much stress at school nowadays?
Well, when talking about pressures at school, I do think that teenagers are quite pressure nowadays due to
Teenagers are quite pressure, so again, the grammar's not quite there.
the ever-increasing knowledge amount of.
Ever increasing is a wonderful pre-modifying compound adjective, but I don't know if it quite makes sense here.
Due to the ever-increasing amount of knowledge.
Due to the ever-increasing amount of knowledge, a nice relative clause like due to the ever-increasing amount of knowledge that they are expected to absorb, that would be a great answer. But just due to the ever-increasing amount of knowledge, That's not quite there.
These days, as technology develops, there are more
Develops, not develops, but develops.
knowledge and skills
There are more knowledge. There is more knowledge.
that teens have to gain in order to perform better in their learning and also
So he's learned a lot of Latin-based words like gain and things like this that I just don't feel like he has full control over all of those words. And it seems, I don't know, but it might be the case that he's trying to use those words because he feels like those are the situationally appropriate words in an IELTS test, or maybe those are just the words that he's learned. But it feels just a little bit like he's trying to use like too much IELTS language.
in their life. And I think, yeah.
I think, yeah. Again, I think, yeah, is a short way of saying I've kind of got lost in my talk. I'm a little bit disorganized. I can't really see where my answer is going. I want to stop it, but I don't know how to stop it. So I think, yeah, it's natural. People do that from time to time. But I'm glad that he said, I think, yeah, as a signal to me that that's the end of my turn. So while it would have been better to have a more organized answer with a more natural ending, still the candidate doesn't just break down into silence. He lets me know in his own way that that's the end of his turn, and that's okay. Not perfect, but it's okay. And how do you think technology might change schools in the future?
Well, absolutely. The
Again, we get this well. Just every question now is just well.
technology will
And I don't know about absolutely. Absolutely is another way of saying yes. So with yes or no questions, do you think technology will change schools in the future? Absolutely. Do you think it'll rain tomorrow? Absolutely. Do you think it's a good idea? Absolutely. It means yes, but in a very encouraging way. But how do you think they might change? Absolutely. That isn't appropriate.
absolutely drive learning to many ways.
Drive learning too many ways. Again, this drive. I think the candidate probably could find simpler language. Yeah, it will change language. It will change education in many ways. I don't know why drive too many ways. Just seems strange.
The most obvious one I would think now is that they will help increase the learning ability.
Again, but it's vague, isn't it? It doesn't have details. It will help. Technology will help increase the learning ability. We have to back that up with what we mean. Explain that.
Say with
Say is great, like if, for example, we can use say. Cool.
technology developed, there might be robots help the teacher to convey the knowledge to
Again, convey is just it's one of those Latin words again that the candidate is using without fully knowing how it's used. And there is an attempt to develop. So robots could help the teacher to convey the knowledge. I just don't know if convey is really appropriate.
students more fluently and
I think he is so focused on vocab. He's thinking, you can see that monitor in his brain working hard. I think trying to access as many Latin based English words as he can, because maybe he's of the belief that Latin based words score better in IELTS when they just don't.
also quite well. So students might be equipped with useful knowledge and
Might be equipped with useful knowledge is okay, but again, it just feels like sometimes you want the candidate to give their real honest opinion about things, and sometimes it's very obvious that a candidate is approaching the test and thinking only how can I exploit the question, how can I find good vocab to deal with this question. And we want a range of things. Sometimes we want, it's a test, of course, sometimes you want the candidate to be a bit ambitious, you want the candidate to show off a bit of impressive language at higher levels. You want that, but you certainly don't want that if it replaces a coherent answer, right? And so far we get, oh yeah, robots may help teachers to convey the information, which allows students to gain an ability to acquire and be equipped with more information. It's like, just trying a little too hard.
Like they will be possible to understand everything that the teachers told them.
But the vocab is good. His vocab is incredible.
Moreover, with
I don't like this moreover. And another thing on top of that, and also
technology, remote learning will be available and help the students
with technology, remote learning will be available. Maybe you need to demonstrate better cause and effect there.
from, very hard area to gain the access to study.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right, so I think I'm a little bit worried that my feedback has been a little bit too technical and with too much linguistic jargon. So if that is the case, sorry about that. But let's get to some scores and it might help. So fluency and coherence, it's tough. It really is tough. I think 6 is fair. Okay, so reasons why. In general, you develop your answers well, and the length of your answers are I'd say exactly right. The length of the answers, exactly right. However, you sometimes have to rely on slow, or I'd even say often, you often have to rely on slow and mechanical speech to speak at length, or maybe to keep going. Additionally, some of your answers feel a little disorganized, resulting in a loss of coherence. So I think the candidate is so focused on vocab that they sometimes forget about the main idea of their answer, and I think that breaks them. But lexical resource, I think I'm going to give 7. Now I'm on the border between 7 and 8. Certainly there could be enough lexical resource there for an 8. So you show an ability to speak about a variety of topics. You have enough vocab to speak about a variety of topics. Maybe not all topics. Sometimes you miss some precise vocab, sometimes. But you can speak about a variety of topics. You show some excellent awareness of collocation. To be inferior to, but other cases where you had good collocations, where verb, preposition, collocations throughout the test. However, sometimes your awareness of style, formality, was a little lacking, and for me, there were just a few too many academic, formal items in your speech. Seems a little bit like you're just trying a little bit too hard. Okay, grammatical range and accuracy. I think I can award the 6 for this. So in parts 1 and 2, there was quite bad control over basic grammar, present simple, past simple, verb to be. You're missing a lot of stuff there. Even single and plurals, some mistakes. Not a hell of a lot, but some. However, you showed a nice range of structures, and your accuracy with the passive was quite impressive. So I think that range maybe saved him, maybe enough for a 6 there. Pronunciation, I think I have to give a 6 to. So what can I say about his pronunciation? So the main thing, of course, in general, it is very easy to understand what you say with only a few slips in pronunciation of single words. I think you said like fondidly or something like this, or my school is more, or something like that. I don't know if that was a pronunciation mistake or vocab, but there were a couple of words I wasn't quite sure. You sometimes struggle, or just say you struggle with consonant clusters, like many people, but that's just part of the accent. I won't punish you heavily for that. The main problem is that your intonation is quite flat and your sentence stress is inappropriate. Now, I think that this is the result of you constantly searching for good vocab in your head. That when you are actively engaged in trying to assess the most suitable items of vocabulary, I think it is noticeable that you're searching for those words, and when you're searching for those words, you sacrifice your intonation, you sacrifice your sentence stress. Yeah, so overall, what do we get? We get 6.0, but maybe, maybe that lexical resource could be an 8. But overall, 6.0. I expect the candidate to do a little bit better in the real test. I really expect the candidate to get maybe at minimum 6.5 and maybe 7.0. I will be surprised if he gets higher than 7.0, but I think he will do better than 6.0 in the real test. Maybe my marking is sometimes a little bit harsh. So key things to work on. Definitely try to control your grammatical accuracy with basic grammar. I'm not talking about the range of structures. Your range of structures generally is good, but try to control present simple, past simple, third person s, verb to be. Just try to control that. If you do that, yeah, you could certainly jump to a 7 very easily. Your vocab is wonderful, really wonderful, but sometimes you sacrifice your pronunciation and fluency by trying too hard to access impressive vocab. Also, keep in mind that the speaking test is not a job interview, and you don't need to approach it with such serious and formal language. I'm not saying, to go the other side. If we think of, formality in English as something like this, where on the high end you have the academic language, academic or technical jargon on the high stuff, and then you have like formal language maybe there, and you have the neutral language here, and you have informal here, and then you kind of have at the bottom slang or swearing at the bottom. The IELTS speaking test, I think it's best to shoot for about here. So we're not talking about using so much crazy slang or swear words, but just slightly informal. And I think your language is generally quite there. It's not super formal, but it's definitely above if this is the neutral point, you're certainly above that, and you should be a little bit below it, at least in my opinion. But the candidate does know English very well, and I fully expect the candidate to do very well in listening, to do very well in reading. No idea about writing. Writing often surprises me. Some students are amazing, some students are terrible. It happens. And yeah, I expect the candidate to get 6.5 or 7 in the real test, but for me, this performance was 6.0. Okay. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any comments, please do leave them below. I'm sure nobody is watching after 55 minutes of analysis, except you, Lam, of course. But yeah, if you have any comments, let me know. Please do like the video because it helps a lot. I'm still trying to build this channel slowly but surely. We will get to our 1,000 subscribers. If you'd like your own free practice mock IELTS speaking tests with feedback, or if you would like me to check your writing, please get in touch with me. Information on how to contact me is given below, but as always, please keep in mind that I get a lot of requests and I try to get back to as many people as possible, but if I don't reply immediately, I am not ignoring you, I promise. I just can't physically respond to every single message that I receive. But I'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon. Bye-bye.